Hello, I'm Vishwam from Flowing with Life, filming from Lea Gardens in Tresta, Shetland, an amazing garden developed by the fabulous Rosa Steppanova and her beautiful partner James MacKenzie. So as you may know, Paul and I are hoping to move to Shetland, and one of the concerns for me was the limited number of trees. Well, let me just show you here what's possible. So here's the entrance to Lea Gardens from the more traditional Shetland landscape. And just show you, they've planted this amazing corridor of trees and roses and flowers. This beautiful drive that leads up to the historic Croft House, which they've expanded and developed in some very interesting ways. So I'll just take a little walk up the drive here. Tell you, the scent of these Rosa rugoses is absolutely astounding. And in the autumn, they'll have very beautiful, fat, juicy rose hips, which are perfect for making rose hip syrup, a wonderful tonic and very tasty medicine. We have some New Zealand flax here on the right, which many people have suggested it could be a very valuable resource for its fibers. They're very strong and can be used to make fabric, paper, all kinds of things. Which can provide a wonderful alternative for more intensive agriculture required to plant trees and cotton for similar things. So we've got some more of the lovely Rosa rugosa. I mean, they are considered invasive in many coastal areas, but I think if something is going to invade, I'm quite happy for it to be roses. So every day in the garden is completely different. There's an astonishing array of wildlife, of beautiful colors, of scents, and a deep awareness of peace. It's very easy to feel that the gardens here were planted and maintained with a deep sense of love and devotion. So just as we may feel something very special when we enter a sacred site, a cathedral or a grove, a sacred spring, when we come into the gardens here, we become very aware that gardening can be a form of prayer, a form of loving devotion to the earth, to life. We have here the potting shed and greenhouses. It leads down to a vegetable garden down the other side. And we have the most astonishing array of flowers and plants and trees, lovingly collected and gathered and shared from many different parts of the world, which have a similar climate to Shetland. And we have here a very beautiful Inuit elemental goddess created by Rosa and James, one of the many acts of beauty that they have carefully nurtured here over the years. I don't know if the film's able to convey the deep sense of peace and quiet, even though we can hear some cars. It kind of doesn't matter. It doesn't really matter, because where we are is absolutely surrounded and held and embraced in life. There's always new plants being nurtured and developed, seeds being grown, cuttings taken in order to produce some excess for sale, and also to keep populating different areas of the garden. So there's always new delights. There are many, many ways to walk around the garden. I tell you, when we first came here, about an hour and a half after we'd arrived, Rosa came out and was surprised to find we were still here. I think maybe most people wander around for half an hour or so, but we were absolutely enchanted and completely overjoyed to be house sitting here for the past 2 weeks and to be returning in the autumn to spend the winter here. I'm very curious to see what a Shetland winter is really like. There's some very special trees. I must admit, I can't remember all of the names of all the plants. Rosa and James know all the Latin names of everything, I think. But these special pines have a very beautifully scented sap. I'm wondering if it might be able to be made into a perfume. 'Cause it's very beautiful, earthy, woody, vibrant, soothing smell. Many of the rhododendrons are past flowering at this stage. And the sparrowhawks nestlings have recently fledged. So we took great delight in quietly peeping in their nest. Oh! So those are two of the sparrowhawks on cue. So they have a wonderful call and are absolutely beautiful, beautiful birds. So just show you the entrance here. We've got a special area that's lovingly fenced off to try to reduce the number of rabbits coming in, hopefully stop them, because they do like to nibble the bark of various rare plants in the winter. Now this area is all plants that have come from South America, mostly Tierra del Fuego, an area not far from the Antarctic. So it has a very similar climate to here. And it's quite astounding. I guess I think this area might be 30 years old. So we have some tremendously mature, beautiful trees. And particularly taken with this Antarctic beech tree. So you can see the leaves are very different from the ones we normally know. And amazingly, some mushroom mycelial networks came along with the pot of that tree. So every autumn they get a lovely batch of South American mushrooms, which are unfortunately neither edible nor, as far as we know, medicinal, but still very special. Let me just shut this door here. So here we have the new garden, planted I believe in 2007. Again, containing a wide variety of flowering plants and trees from different parts of the world. We have this beautiful Korean pine, which I guess must be a good 30 feet tall. The garden is a forest garden design, so it includes tall trees, shrubs, ground cover plants of various forms and descriptions, quite a few climbers. And those of you from a permaculture background will know that forest gardens are often designed to produce food and are a wonderful way of producing a vast amount of food in an ecologically sustainable and very resilient way. This garden, however, was not designed explicitly from a permaculture perspective. And the main emphasis is on the combination of beauty and wildlife habitat, which are wonderful, wonderful harvests, we could say. The people who come here really feel the peace and devotion of the place and are very inspired by what is possible. All too often in our society, I think can be quite overwhelmed with what we call problems. There are quite a few major issues facing humanity at the moment. And learning to garden in a way that harvests so much carbon, produces so much beauty, creates spaces that restore and nurture and feed wildlife and feed the souls of humanity, are so incredibly valuable. I feel very blessed and honored to be caring for this place while we're here and showing people around, including you. So if you do ever visit and I'm around, I'll happily show you around the gardens. We've got a lovely range of foxgloves here. More beautiful borders, just filled with flowers. A great deal of nectar is produced here, benefiting all the bees, butterflies, moths, hoverflies, all of which form a fundamental part of the food network, the whole web of life. So this is quite astounding to see how Rosa's lovingly planted a whole rainbow of drumstick primulas, carefully organized by color. They're kind of near their flowering now, near the end of their flowering now. For several weeks, possibly even a month or longer. Just this beautiful streak of color all the way down the garden. And I'd just like to also point out this Himalayan or Indian knotweed, which is a more well-behaved cousin of the Japanese variety, at least more well-behaved in our part of the world. And apparently it's edible, although I haven't yet sampled this delicacy. So it would take a long time to show you around the whole garden, but this gives you a little flavor of some of the different beautiful areas that have been developed over the years. So, signing off for now.